you so very much. I'm excited to be doing this. It's always a good time to get to share with people, I guess, my adventure. And a lot of what I like to speak about is finding the soul of health. And for myself personally, it's one of these things where I'm still young, I'm still full of life. I'm only 36 years old, and I come from a high-performance sport background. And not only do I play sports, my early career had me working with pro athletes and really engaging that high-performance side of the human body, and it became something that I struggled with as I worked with pro athletes in the CFL, NHL. I've done a lot of work with MMA athletes, so the guys that like to fist fight with each other. It was something that I noticed that there's a population that speaks to them. They love the high performance, but there's a lot more people out there that are confused as to what exercise should be, and confused when they hear everything about health seems to be contraindications. It seems to be that, there's a new diet every week and there's a new exercise routine. So for me, this has become a mission to find that soul of health and get people to accidentally exercise. So what do I mean when I do that or say that, or what are the goals of today? And I want people at the end of this, if you're tuned in, I want you to understand the difference between health and sex appeal training. And to me, the sex appeal side of things is specifically going to a gym and or doing any form of exercise to change your physique or to change your body without any care for the science behind things. So I work a lot with large corporations, and I get to go in and work with the staff. And this is where I see mistakes being made. Is everyone has benefits at their workplace, and there's a lot of people that when they search out who they're going to listen to for most things in the health realm, they go based by, that person has a six-pack, so whatever they say next, I'm going to assume is correct. And again, as part of the goals of today, I want to get you to understand your body, and I want you to understand what it takes to treat your body well for an entire lifetime, not just 6 weeks to get a six-pack or, doing things where at the end of it, you have not changed your lifestyle or your health. And we see a lot of people in the population, especially in that health and fitness, when it's the magazine bodies, they have the right look, but it's something they can't transfer to a regular person because it's not a lifestyle that most people will get to. So we want to understand the difference between health and sex appeal. We want to know our body and how to treat it well. I also want to get people excited to participate in their own health. Now, I was pretty excited that there's some healthcare providers that have joined us, and I think this next thing might resonate well with them is we want to see people participate in their treatment. We want patients as partners. We want to see, when that diagnosis comes in, or if your doctor says, hey, this problem has arisen, I need you to, and then they fill in the blanks with a course of treatment. I want to see more people excited to participate and reclaim their health and get on that health journey. So I'm hoping by the end of this, we break this down enough so that you see how easy it is to be healthy, that you can participate in your health. And of course, the last goal, we want those small habits. It's got to start small, and it's got to be things that you could do today and every day to make tomorrow better. When we do those things, if I can get you to understand those takeaways, and if that's something that resonates at the end of this, we'll have something here that, I hate to say it, but it'll be a very beautiful thing. So as we go through this, feel free to put those questions up. I'm so looking forward to answering them and getting that understanding of accidental exercise going with people. So mistakes, the common mistakes that are made, and how I see and how I hope people can answer them. Now, I know that it was alluded to, but I do some writing. I get to write on a regular basis for the Huffington Post. And something that I use, I don't want to say the tagline, but a bit of a tagline, is that food has become what makes us fat or skinny. It's no longer our fuel. It's no longer the thing that we understand that brings us vitamins, minerals, or fuels us for our day. That to me has become one of the, I guess, the biggest flaws in how we teach people to eat. And again, with food being what makes us fat or skinny, and that being the accepted norm, when we have people looking for who their expert is going to be that they're going to chat with, or who they're going to go seek for advice, we see a trend towards people getting into diets that are specifically designed to reduce fat, not necessarily take into account health. So what I'm going to ask each and every person here to do is, if you don't already know how to do it, learn how to cook and enjoy real food. It sounds simple, but I like to recount, the times that I was in university, and here I am going to university getting my kinesiology and applied health degree, and I realized one day that I have no idea how to cook. I have no idea, other than making a chicken breast that tastes kind of horrible, not really, like it's cooked. I had no idea how to make food that I could invite somebody over to eat, or really I could sustain a life on. And that was one of the first things that I kind of told myself I'd have to do, is learn to cook. And now I know how, and I've sat with dietitians, and let me stress this in a big way, is you got to connect with dietitians. And not only have I learned how to cook, I've learned how to do things like sub in vegan and vegetarian recipes. I now know how to take different forms of protein and change it up. So it's not just all hamburger and chicken. I've got ideas on plant-based diets that really, really have added to my own personal growth and health. So that's something at the end of this, or even now, starting to understand that food is not just what makes us fat or skinny, it's what makes us healthy. Second mistake, that the gym became the only way to get our fitness, or it was the only thing that we started to see as, an expert walks into the room and they're a fitness expert. The next thing people assume immediately is that person's going to try to get us to exercise, or they're going to sell us some kind of strange apparatus that targets the midsection, or has us doing different movements so that, you've got the total gym, you've got the Bowflex, you've got all these things, and all of a sudden that became the only acceptable way to get exercise. And to me, this is something we want to get away from, because of course, if you go on diabetes.ca and you check out what the requirements for exercise are, it's only 150 minutes of moderate cardiovascular exercise. That's something you can do without ever stepping foot into a gym. And this is where accidental exercise, and this is where the heart and soul of health come from, is finding what you love and do it every day. Simply move. So when you see all these next best workouts, when you see all of these magazine covers with these beautiful people that are telling you can be there in 6 weeks, it's all nonsense. What you need to do, the only workout you need to pay attention to, or the only exercise you need to pay attention to, is the one that speaks to you, is the thing you'll do. And if I could get everyone just trying different things, Participaction right now, they've got Canada's the 150 list. So if you head over to Participaction, you can go through a list of different things to try, and you find something that fits with you, as simple as walking, or as as unique as fencing, or whatever it is that speaks to your soul. But it doesn't have to be going to the gym, and it doesn't have to be getting into a boot camp that makes you sick to your stomach when you head into it. The last mistake is that appearance and changing our appearance has driven almost everything that we see now coming through fitness marketing. So if I can change that up, I want people to learn about their body type, learn about how the body works, understand the cells of your body, understand what your body needs to survive, and make your decisions based on healthy living versus changing your appearance or looking a certain way. And if we can do that, we can fix up those mistakes. We're going to get to a place where the body is healthy. So look at those mistakes, see if they resonate with you, and if they do, start making some small, simple changes and understand that you want to be speaking to experts, health experts, your doctor, your registered dietitians, find kinesiologists, chat with them, and make sure that where you're going is to experts with a credible university degree, get their opinion on things. And that's how you want to shape how you get fit and healthy. All right, the benefits of physical activity. I thought I'd throw this in there. It's funny because every time I think everyone knows the benefits of physical activity, when you ram it down their throat one more time, they're always like, oh, that's a great idea. So this list I took from the CDC, so the Center for Disease Control. And the benefits of physical activity, they're right there on the screen for you. Control your weight, reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease, reduce your risk for type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndromes, reduce your risk of some cancers, strengthen your bones and muscles, improve your mental health and mood, improve your ability to do daily activities and prevent falls if you're an older adult. And this one is my favorite. And the days where I sit there and think, man, I could just watch a little bit more of The Bachelorette, I think to myself, if I exercise, I could increase my chances of living longer. And that resonates with me. The last one is my favorite. I really do want to live a long time, so I'm active for that reason. If I can, I guess, make one point here, the benefits of physical activity are easy to attain. This is something where when we look at this, again, I had said it earlier, is the 150 minutes of activity. Again, when we see what gets pushed in the media or the traditional media, what we see is things that are, again, designed to change your physical appearance. The Biggest Loser television show was all around changing physical appearance as fast as possible. That style of exercise is not what is needed or necessary to get these benefits. These benefits are just simple, small changes and racking up the 150 minutes of exercise. Okay. So I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I try to bring him up in absolutely every single seminar that I give across this country, because I blame him and his 1980s crew of leotards and tights for absolutely everything. You'll see that there's some stats and facts here, and this is something where, again, when I'm trying to drive home the point of 150 minutes and finding things you love and just getting lost in exercise, and that accidental exercise, I just simply meaning going out for a walk, and instead of I'm going to go for 30 minutes, and at 30 minutes I'm coming straight home because I hate doing this. What I want people to do is find that thing, a hike, a walk, where all of a sudden an hour and a half, 2 hours has gone by, and you've just been out enjoying nature, getting that mental health break, getting all this, and I bring it back to this fitness revolution that happened in the 80s. It used to be that we just got exercise through what we were doing in life. Our daily living was our workout. But in the 80s, something switched, and all of a sudden, people were realizing things are getting automated. We're less likely to be active at work. and the gym situation jumped up. So in 1980, 4.8% of men and 7.9% of women were obese. We have gyms on every corner popping up. We've got Gold's Gym, we've got Good Life, we've got all of these places, and they're great places. I have nothing against a gym. But something happened where we got less active and we started to understand our bodies and its needs less. And in 2014, 11% of men and 15% of women were considered obese by the World Health Organization. So something happened, and again, this is where we're talking about the gym not being the end-all be-all. We had magazines on shelves. We had people that understood physical activity. They knew how to build muscles, and yet as a population, we got more and more unfit. So we've got to get back to that soul. We've got to find a way to get to a place where we exercise and we do it because we understand our body. Now, I am a self-professed nerd. I absolutely love the human body. It is amazing to me just how beautiful and intricate the body is, and yet at its base, it's so easy to understand. So your body is made up of cells. Those cells make up organs, and those organs make up systems. If you don't take care of your cells, if you don't care for that base level, the system fails. And this is where I like to talk a little about my background and how I got passionate about health. Is I actually was very sick as a kid, and if you read some of the Huffington Post stuff, it comes up on a regular basis in there. And I was at a point where I was playing sports. I was the captain of a hockey team. I was, living life to its fullest, having a blast. And all of a sudden, one day, I'm looking at my mom and saying, I don't have the energy to play hockey. I don't know what's going on. Last week, I was good to go. And this week, I don't feel well. And the next thing you know, I'm in a doctor's office, and they're saying this looks like cancer. And sure enough, my white blood cell counts are out to lunch, and I'm in a place where somebody is saying, hey, you're in a bit of trouble. And it was, to me, it is what has resonated my whole life about that is I went from healthy to there being a breakdown, that when it was at the cellular level, I didn't feel it. When it was kind of at the organ level, I started to feel it, but it wasn't till the system started to break down that I noticed anything. And this is what I like to tell people is with preventable disease, with the things that are causing us the most grief in our world, we can care for our bodies at a cellular level to ensure that the system doesn't fail. So the tough part about this is I'm going to ask you to do things and change routines in your life to take care of your body at that cellular level, even though you might not feel there's a need, even though you feel that you might be okay, you might feel healthy. We can take it one step further and make you feel really energetic with doing this right. But if we don't take care of our body at that cellular level, that first step, we don't give the body what it needs, it will break down. And movement is critical to the care of your cells. Not only is the food component huge, but actually moving around, getting that blood flowing, making sure the whole system gets cardiovascular, gets taken care of, and just moving the body does wonders for us. So the math on weight loss. This is obviously, at the end of the day, we will always have something on weight loss. It isn't the focus. It's not the reason for doing this, but knowing something about the math, basically, the basics of the math, helps us when we're, struggling a little on those days where we wanted to lose more weight, or, I picked up a magazine and I thought 6 weeks later I was going to be ripped with big muscles and it didn't happen. Why didn't it happen? And we'll go through that right now. First off, a critical thought, and this is something that I really want people to understand is fat is not the enemy. Having fat on your body and being within recommended norms is not a bad thing. Again, not the magazine standard, but you sit down with your doctor and you say, dear healthcare practitioner, what should I be doing? How much should I change? What do I need to do? And they will give you the number, and it's not going to be it probably won't be the same as what you'd see on the cover of a magazine. Fat isn't the enemy. The sedentary lifestyle is. So again, can we get you to find things that you do so it gets you up and moving? If I can do that, we've got a huge win in our books. So somewhere along the lines, human beings smartened up and we built supermarkets. Now, at this point, food has all but lost any need for us to exert any calories to go get it. I literally, if I wanted to, I could hang up on this call, open up an app, and have a pizza delivered in 45 minutes or less, I'm sure. To me, that's the coolest thing because, whatever, I love pizza. But the point is, we no longer burn calories in our quest to get food. If you wanted to go your whole day and not burn a single calorie, you easily could. And that is something that is critical to understand, is you have to make it a mission to get up and move. So it takes 3,500 calories. That 3,500 calories makes up a pound of body fat, which means if you burn 3,500 calories, you're going to lose a pound of body fat. So that's finding 250 calories in a day, which is, a large pop or a chocolate bar. They're going to be in that 250 calorie range. So you remove 250 calories in food, and then you go for a nice long walk and you burn 250 calories. That means you've reduced 500 total calories for the day, which means in 7 days, you'll burn a pound of fat. That's how we want to go about this, nice and slow and smooth. We want to find those things, walking, hiking, biking, whatever it is, that just reduces a few calories, and then we are conscientious about the food we eat, and that combination helps us to start reducing our body fat with a healthy lifestyle. Nice and smooth and slow, and something we can do for a lifetime. How do we do that? We've got to build that healthy base. So it has to be a lifestyle, not just something where you come hard out of the gates and then, whoops, I did too much and I hate this, and never do it again. You've got to think about it as creating a castle, or create something that's got a longevity to it. And this is where I like to talk about 4 pillars of health: hydration, nutrition, sleep, and exercise. Health cannot be achieved without all of these things being in place. If you're not sleeping, it's going to be almost impossible to be healthy. If you're not getting enough water in your diet, it's going to be tough to be healthy. If your nutrition's off, it's tough to be healthy. If you're not getting exercise, it's tough. If any one of those is left in the dust, that unbalance makes everything else tougher, and we get that downward spiral. So we want to just make sure and we understand these key components, and we work towards making those awesome. So the first one, hydration. Why drink water? Well, vitamins A, D, E, and K are stored in fat. Every other vitamin and mineral is water soluble. If I don't have water in my system, if I'm not drinking enough, I lose the ability to store some of those extra vitamins, and they're critical to my everyday function. So ensuring that the water's there ensures that we have that storage space for the vitamins and minerals. Second, joint lubrication is water-based. And this is something, as well as joint lubrication, discs of the spine. If I'm hydrated, I've got the ability to make sure that when I'm going through all my ranges of motion, when I'm walking and doing anything physical, my joints can stay lubricated. That is critical to longevity and health. And it's something that's as simple as making sure that what you're doing is drinking water. And that's, if you catch nothing else from this, I would love for everyone to understand, we want to drink water in the day. And it is something where, if you're sitting there saying to yourself right now and thinking to yourself, man, I hate water. Just take a second to realize what you're saying and how there is populations all around the world that would just, they would love to have the ability to go to a tap and get free water. It's something where if I can get people to understand that you don't need diet pop to get your fluid intake, you don't need to add any additives to get your fluid intake for the day. Some of those treats, have them as treats, great, fine by me. But on a regular basis, if I could ask people to try one thing, and there's no magic to me, looking through the research, looking through all the ideas that are out there, I've yet to see someone that can say drink exactly X amount of water and stand by it scientifically. So I like to get people to do this. If you can, get 500 milliliters of water and drink that 500 milliliters 5 times a day. So when you wake up, first thing you want to do, have 500 milliliters of water. Then with your first snack, again, drinking water. At lunch, every time you eat or take a snack, balance it with some water. And at the end of the day, you're going to be between 2 and 2.5 liters of water. And that is a great way to go about hydrating your body. Now, fun fact, you will go to the bathroom a lot more. Don't worry about it. Just know that it happens to everybody. Next is sleep. And this is one of those things that I am shocked, myself included, at the amount of people that can stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning watching television and then feel terrible the next day and think, I will never watch another infomercial about Ron Popeil and his latest and greatest invention. And then the very next night, there you are debating whether you're going to order some knives or not. And happens to me way too often, but it's one of those things that just seems to be human nature. We don't like to miss out on anything, so we stay up all night watching television. So if you're exhausted, you're not going to exercise. The other thing you want to do is sleep to ensure that key hormones are replaced and the system resets and repairs itself. Sleep is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It takes care of the body and resets the whole system. You also learn while you're asleep. You create memories while you're asleep. And as much as length of sleep is important, and again, we're going to aim for that 6 to 8 hours, 7 to 8 hours, not only is the length important, but where you sleep and how ready you are to go to sleep. So when I say where, it's about setting up a bedroom that there isn't a television in that bedroom. When you go to your room or when you go to where you're going to sleep, it should be a quiet room. And this is, again, it's one of those things that we do. You fall asleep in front of a TV and there's, gunshots on the TV and it wakes you up 45 minutes to an hour into your sleep and you didn't get through your sleep cycles and you get woken up. And we do that kind of thing on a regular basis. What I'm looking for people to do is make sure they go to a quiet room and they get rest. And the next part of that is how ready you are. So finding something where you can relax and de-stress and make sure that you're going to bed ready to go to sleep. And a big part of that is reducing caffeine intake. I am guilty of this. I love pop. If you offer me a cherry Coke, I will never say no. Never. I can't do it, and I feel bad if I do. So for me, it's something where I'm aware of the fact that when I'm eating my last meal of the day, I try not to have even a diet pop with it. Caffeine takes time to get out of the body. Between 8 and 12 hours is its half-life. So that means it's still in your body having some effect on your system. And if you're trying to go to sleep and that caffeine, you can, and here's to clarify, you can fall asleep so your body shuts down and gets to that first step of sleep, but you don't get to your deep sleep because something, either where you're sleeping, something keeps you awake, or you've got caffeine in the system and it keeps you awake. If you're not letting your body get into deep sleep because of your consuming caffeine just before bed, that's something you got to look into. And this is the great thing about sleep. There's professionals that can walk you through the whole thing. They can do a sleep study with you. They can help you find all the small mistakes that are actually cutting into your sleep. And if you've never done it, I highly recommend a sleep study or talking with your doctor about ways to get into that deep sleep. You'll find little mistakes that you're making that are just absolutely fantastic to get you into that deep sleep and get you feeling rested. A rested person can spend their day active and making good decisions on the food they eat. So take sleep very seriously, and again, consult an expert in it and find out what you can do to absolutely supercharge your health and wellness. So the gym, to me, it's funny because I like to tell people that, you know, if I was to stand there and tell you stories and regale you with all my accomplishments of the heavy weights that I can lift in a gym, people would look at me like, what is this idiot talking about? I do not care that you can squat 250 pounds. I don't care that you can bench press 225 pounds. If I was to stop people and tell them those stories, they would say like the meanest things to me, and they would be absolutely right, because who cares? But if somebody tells me about, you know, on the weekend, they went on this beautiful hike and as they came up on this beautiful crest, they could hear rapids in the background. The water was rushing, and as they came up on this crest, they saw a mom and a baby deer bounding through the forest, chased by a squirrel. All of a sudden, you know, you got a story that people want to listen to. And that, to me, is what fitness is about. That's what exercise should be. And that then blends itself into needing minimums. And again, 150 minutes of moderate exercise is our minimum. That's what we want people doing to get the body what it needs. This is where accidental exercise comes in, is finding things where you just go out and you get stories, and you go out with friends and family and you make memories, and the whole purpose isn't to take fat off the body. The purpose is to bond with someone. The purpose is to go see something. The purpose is to have an adventure that when you go back to work, so on Friday, you go and you hike 2 beautiful spots, and you go back to the office on Monday, or you get together with your friends on Monday, whatever it is, and you have a story to tell. That's the purpose for being fit and healthy. And that's something I believe, back to that photo of Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1980s revolution, I think we forgot that. I think we forgot that being healthy, being fit, being able to walk allows us to go make these really awesome adventures. So for me, my biggest motivation is going on my local travels and tourism sites. So going on to Travel Manitoba and looking at the places I want to go and hike and see and walk around, and knowing that I'm fit enough that if it says it's a difficult hike, but at the end of it, there's some whitewater rapids to sit beside and nature is at its best, that's the stuff I want to engage with. That's the things I want to do. So when I'm talking about finding the soul of health again, it's that. It's real food. It's it's being healthy enough to make a memory. And that is critical to me. And if that's what we get out of this discussion today, is that people are understanding, yes, I want to be able to go and create a memory, have an adventure, then we've done the right things. So what is the most effective workout? And I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. It's the one that you'll do. There's no secret and there's no machine. And I promise you that. I have tried just about every machine on the market. I even was a spokesperson, and there's a thing called Nexersis, and it's this kickboxing machine. And if you ever see one, I'm actually the guy doing the lesson on the screen, and it's this kickboxing thing, and it's a ton of fun. And I'm a big deal in Australia because that's where they sold the most of these things. And it was even on CIS Los Angeles, and I was pretty pumped about that, but they edited me out, so whatever. I almost had a big break. I didn't. But there's no machine, there's no secret. It's getting moving and starting simple. So if you've tuned into this and you're just like, I have not exercised since high school when they forced you to, and it's 30 years later, that's fine. All you've got to do is start simply. So I took this little paragraph, and I got to say this out loud. I stole it directly from diabetes.ca. So starting with simply getting 10 minutes of aerobic exercise 4 times a week. Then move that gradually to that 30 minutes 5 times a week. Now, what we want, or what I want to see as a health expert or a fitness expert or that person is, and I see this so often, and men, we are the worst for this, and it is embarrassing, but when I ran boot camps back in the day, and when I used to get people excited to go and do these crazy workouts, I used to laugh when the 30 or 40-year-old guy comes in and he's like, yeah, I'm here, I'm gung-ho, it's 6 a.m., let's do this. And we get into the workout, and I swear not even 7 minutes passes, and the guy is there almost puking, and he's like, man, I used to be able to do this kind of stuff, and I used to be this all-star on the football team. And I'm like, oh, yeah? And so after football, what did you do? He's like, the last thing I did was football. And you say, okay, so if you're 38 years old, and the last thing you did was play high school football, and you were 18 when you did that, that is 20 years of not doing anything. And in that 20 years, your body did not become an all-star athlete. In fact, it goes the other direction. So what we want people to do is simply start carving out in their day a time when they say, I'm going to get up and moving, and starting with just 10 minutes. Make that success. Go Monday to Thursday, where at whatever time at night you just get up and go for a walk. If you can do that, you are going to start the journey to health. And then after that, that 10 minutes becomes 12, becomes 15, becomes 20, and eventually it's at 30 minutes, and you're doing it every day of the work week. And then you've got a successful plan to get healthy. Then if you can add into that resistance training 2 times a week, you'll have your building blocks for your base of health. And try everything. Get out there and find things that are good for you, that get you moving. Do body weight exercise. Get your flexibility and your balance going. Endurance. If you're somebody, and this is the thing, is in a discussion like this with however many people are online right now, there's going to be people who actually like to run long distance. And I do not understand you, but that's your thing. Then the next person is going to come along and they're going to be like, you know what? I like to lift heavy weights. You and I could be friends. I get that. Playing sports, I dig that. Other people are going to be like, play sports? You could get hurt doing that. I want to avoid it. So everyone needs to find what works for them. And it could be yoga. It could be Pilates. Those things are great. But if that's not something that speaks to your soul and helps you get moving, then don't do it. That simple. again, the most effective workout is the one you'll do, and we want to hit that 150 minutes. So of course, if you're not active, if this is not something that has been ingrained for the last however many years, then changing your habits is your next thing to do. And I was touching on this earlier with the starting slow, start off easy. But what we didn't talk about is, one, forcing it. So don't force yourself to do any class, video, or activity you don't like. Again, I get this all the time where people come to me and they say, well, I'm going to start this journey. So again, I present and I work with workplaces. So I go into workplaces, and my whole role there as a workplace wellness consultant is to make sure everyone gets healthy. And people come up and they're like, I'm inspired. I want to do this. And my best friend does yoga every week, every Monday. I'm going to start doing that. Next time I meet up with that person, how'd yoga go? And they say, I hate it. Well, then don't do it. We got to find something else. And even though it worked for your friend, don't worry about it. We can find you something else. There's always something else to try. That's the beautiful thing about how we live in this world, is there are choices on every street corner. And again, it's as simple as going for a walk. And for me, my best personal trainer is my dog, because if I don't walk that dog, there's hell to pay for everybody. Finding a friend or family member. So I just touched on that. My dog is my family member. My dog makes me get up. She is 18 months old, so there's more energy there than in a nuclear bomb. And I'm kind of tied to the fact that, hey, we go out, we have fun. She goes nuts, I laugh. It's a great win-win situation. Doing this stuff with friends and family also changes the habits of everyone around you. So if this is something where you need a support structure, create it slowly with your friends and family around you by doing these easy things. Take your family for a small walk. Change things up. And this is something I do on a regular basis, is I alluded to it earlier. I said The Bachelorette, and I'm not going to lie. I absolutely love that show. And I know that show is 1 hour long, and there is about 30 minutes of commercials. It's ridiculous. So if I PVR that and I go for a nice long walk, then I watch the show, no commercials, and right up until it goes live. And the next thing you know, I got my exercise in, and I'm not far behind the rest of the world on knowing who got the rose and who didn't. So PVR and getting out and earning your TV time. Very simple idea to getting that small amount of time in being active. And again, do it to be healthy. And as you're doing all of these things, as you're consulting dietitians and learning how to cook and eat healthy, as you're getting more active, watch your body, watch yourself, watch the positive outcomes. That's what you want to chase. Positive outcomes, more energy, a feeling of success because you're doing it and you're moving towards something that is absolutely valuable to your longevity. So the last thing we're going to touch on is getting started. Things to do immediately to be active. And as crazy as it sounds, if you don't know where to go for a walk on a trail, simply find one. Find a walking trail, find something, and get on it. Team up with a friend or a coworker. So wherever you are, whoever you're connected with, tell them you're about to go do this. Tell them you want to work with them. And if they have some knowledge, all the better. You know, if there's somebody that can help build this up with you, great. The next thing is plan something for tomorrow. So if there is some inspiration going on right now, if you're like, yes, I want to do this, plan something for tomorrow, tell a friend, get somebody there, and make sure that you stick to it. That is absolutely critical. Now, something that I should have put on here that I didn't is also find your team. So get involved with allied healthcare professionals. That means your dietitian. Have a physiotherapist that you know. Get involved with your medical staff, your medical team, your doctor. Make sure that they're aware that you're going to be doing this. Loop as many people into this as possible. Set it up so that you're as safe and able to have as much fun with this as you can. So that was the next point, is have fun with it. Involve friends. Make it a challenge. So I don't want to tell anyone to go buy a Fitbit or a Garmin watch or anything like that, but those things can add some challenge to it. You can also download apps for the phone. Doing that and, trying to get that 10,000 steps, get that time in, doing all this kind of stuff makes it so that if you're challenging yourself to do it, there's going to be that extra little push to stay involved. And last but not least, I know that there's some of you out there who are social media savvy. It's actually one of my favorite things to do is to tweet and use Instagram. If you're a social media person, use that. Use it and go out there and get some of the most amazing nature shots you've ever seen. Get those beautiful sunsets. Do all of that kind of stuff and use that again as a challenge to yourself or as a motivator. Get out, get some beautiful pictures, and watch your health absolutely change. From start to finish on this, it is something where if you find the soul of fitness again, if you get away from all the sex appeal marketing that's out there, we're going to have a lot more success when you look to change your health. So I guess with that, Farah, I'm going to flip it back to you for some questions, and we'll have some fun with this.
Great. Thank you so much, Jordan. You've provided us with some really great insight into fun and exciting ways to stay active in our daily lives. So thank you so much for that. Just as Jordan has mentioned, we're going to take some questions here from the audience. If there are additional questions that you have or questions that we do not get to today, I do apologize in advance, but please be sure to email us at webinars@diabetes.ca, and we'll be more than happy to get back to you thereafter. With that being said, we'll start off with our first question here. Jordan, our participant has asked and said, my son has been recently diagnosed with diabetes and he's not physically active. Is there a way that you might be able to provide me with some information to motivate him to get active?
So youth are some of the toughest people to get motivated because it is definitely if they're not interested, it is one of the hardest things to do. And actually, I used to run for a lot of years something I called tutoring for gym class. And my goal was to connect with kids that just had no interest in being healthy. So what I found worked, and one of the best successes I've ever had was a young guy where Star Wars was his thing, and at 16 years old, he could tell me everything about Star Wars, the different languages. Anyway, long story short, there was no way I was getting this guy to do anything other than video games or whatever until I said to him, what if we made this about Star Wars? What if we made this about an interaction you could have and get into where you connected more with your favorite thing? And he took up fencing and martial arts. And the next thing you know, slowly and surely, critical to this, and I should put this in, is the instructors that he connected with also understood overweight and unhealthy at the time. And it's a slow-going expectation and working with them where they are, but catching their attention and making it make sense. So long story short on that is if you've got a youth, if you've got someone who does not want to be active, find something you can tie it to and then make it make sense that way.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for that response, Jordan. I'll move on to our next question here. One of our participants has said, I'm trying to do more outdoors activities such as kayaking, walking, and cycling, but I find during the winter I won't do anything because of the weather. Are there good alternative activities that can be done during the dark, cold months?
This one? Okay. So I learned to kayak in a pool, and then once I learned to kayak, and then I went out and did it in the real world, and I realized how bad I was. In the winters, I actually learned how to get better and do different, I got better at rolling and et cetera, by taking lessons. So I actually spent probably about 3 seasons of learning in a pool during winter and implementing what I've learned in the summer. Part 2 to that is going and doing things like archery or learning new skills and, making it, keeping up with that outdoor stuff. And then, of course, so you've got the kayaking thing, or you can learn places to do it indoors. And then I also, I haven't done it in years, just simply because you got to pick and choose your battles, but snowshoeing and cross-country skiing and some of those sports, if it's the heart of, like, if it is, well, I'm from Manitoba, so I get cold. If you can find something else to replace it with and get outside, and then I also say, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm in Winnipeg. There is 5 or 6 days of the year where I just say, forget it. I am sitting here and watching Netflix because it is colder than Mars, which is okay, just as long as that's not your regular occurrence. But find some replacements. It's doable.
Great. Thanks for that, Jordan. So, folks, I am noticing the time, and we are coming towards the end of our webinar presentation today. So we will take about 1 to 2 more questions. But again, just a reminder, if we do not get to your question today, please feel free to email us at webinars@diabetes.ca, and we'll be sure to get back to you. With that being said, Jordan, our next question is, a few of my patients work 8 hours a day sitting at a desk with limited movement. Is there value in them obtaining a standing desk, or do you have other ideas to help them stay active during the working hours?
So this is my wheelhouse. The standing desk is good, but what needs to happen, and this is, I work with Participaction, and Participaction has a great new program called Up and Go. It'll be fully launched in October. What we need is more than, especially in the office places, more than the sit-stand desks, is we need the senior leadership team, the managers, the HR people to understand that that person needs to move. They need to feel like it's encouraged that they go for that walk. They need 5 minutes on the hour that they feel is theirs to just simply move. And of course, yes, sit stand, fantastic. But even above and beyond that is people need to feel like they're not tied to the desk. That needs to come from the top down. So as a medical professional, if you're able to write that letter or email to that executive team and say, look, your person is unhealthy and they need to have it told to them that they are welcome to step away as medicine. That is something that if I can get more people to understand that movement is medicine, then we're golden there. And I hope that answered the question.
Great. Thanks for that, Jordan. We will take 1 more question here. So our next participant has said, I am 76. I walk daily and sometimes twice a day, and I'm not able to do heavy aerobic exercise. Any suggestion for light aerobic activity?
I think that they're on a great path. For something like that, I would definitely discuss, like when you say not able, if it's something where that's your doctor or your medical staff has said that, you definitely want to consult with them on things to try. But there is, there's always going through talking to the community center and finding what they've got for stretch and walk programs, engaging in group things like that. Fantastic ways to do movement. Things like Tai Chi or some of those movement martial arts. I know I picked on it before on a negative, but trying things like yoga and moving through some of those full ranges of motion, because that's the next step after getting walking, is getting that full range of motion. So trying that, and I know I've seen a lot of people have fun and really get good engagement from things like Tai Chi. But again, first step, talk with your doctor, find out what they suggest. But there is definitely a lot of options out there.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Jordan. And folks, that does conclude our webinar for today. I'd sincerely like to thank Jordan for speaking on behalf of Diabetes Canada. It's been a great learning experience. I do want to remind everyone that today's presentation has been recorded and will be made available at our website at diabetes.ca, as well as our Diabetes Canada YouTube channel in the coming weeks. We do have one more webinar that's coming up, part of our Healthy Living series, and that'll be next week, June the 6th, around making the most of your food dollar. We do have a ton of webinars on our website, so please be sure to check those out. And those can also be found at diabetes.ca/webinars, and there's a past webinars tab, which is located to the left of that screen. And we have about 35 webinars there at the moment, so please be sure to check those out. For those of you that are looking for more support and resources to live well with diabetes, please feel free to call us at our toll-free line at 1-800-BANTING. That's 1-800-226-8464. I just want to thank everyone for joining today. We hope you've enjoyed learning with Diabetes Canada, and we look forward to your participation in the future.